Whoever said money can't buy happiness simply didn't know where to go shopping. I only came for one thing, but now my shopping cart is full. Shopping is my cardio. Shopping is my sport. Shopping is my therapy. All expressions so tongue-in-cheek that we hear and see so often, but retail therapy is a very real experience. It is a consumer behavior characterized by the act of making purchases with the purpose to make themselves feel better emotionally or simply to enjoy themselves, to have fun. Which begs the question, what is the difference between someone who simply enjoys shopping and taking care of themselves versus someone with shopaholic tendencies that's commodifying their self-worth in the name of self-care? Hi loves, how are we doing today? Hope you're all good and having a wonderful day. If you're new, welcome. My name is Michelle and this is the Chic League, where we discuss fashion on a deeper level through the use of art, theory, and social sciences, so you may bring them together in order to develop a true personal style, inside and out, that embraces you as a unique individual, and view fashion past your traditional surface styles taken at, because there's so much more than meets the eye. If this sounds good to you, please subscribe, or if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for joining me here again today for a discussion all about the dangers of aestheticized self-care. Now, do not get me wrong, I'm definitely one to veg out with a face mask, watching a movie at night to unwind, or splurge on a cute set that I know will get me to my workout class in the morning. It will motivate me. But where do we cross this fine line of commodifying our self-image and measuring our self-worth in relation to aesthetics defined by others? And how does this impact our mental well-being and the way that we treat our minds and bodies? Also, why is this important to know? If we take a look back in time, as history is bound to repeat itself if we do not learn from it, let's do early 2000s. You could not walk into a shop without seeing a magazine talking about celebrity weight loss. You could not turn on the television without seeing an ad for a cereal to replace a meal. And so many people would, do these things. They would replace their dessert with a yogurt. They would buy aspirational sizing of their clothes in the name of health linked to an aesthetic. And it would take years or even maybe the rest of their life to undo the damage of this period. Today, I want to talk about aestheticized self-care and the dangers of doing this and how to do it in a healthy way so that you can preserve your self-worth, your self-image, and esteem. When someone with shopaholic tendencies goes on a spree, no matter how big or small, it has the potential to stimulate neurotransmitters, particularly dopamine and endorphins, which may contribute to an improvement of one's emotional state. Shopping is pleasurable, but after the rush, people may experience shame, sadness, or even guilt, especially when purchasing in the name of self-care, which is meant to improve one's life, and aesthetics linked to one's self-concept. As style is not any single piece or a product you buy, you have to create it for yourself, and in the end, you are just left with things. That is when they need the rush again to boost the mood, and the habit cycles. This of how the trend cycle works, as well as how aesthetics function within society, especially in 2023, between social media and advertisement or film and television. And you have all the makings of crossing that fine line into dangerous territory. Now, with this said, the products, concepts, and aesthetics are not the issue themselves. What is the issue? With retail therapy and or compulsive shopping, which is so easy to do, especially online, this may lead to further crisis of identity, heighten the dangers of anomania, and combination of loss or discontent from one's identity, as style is an outward expression of identity derived from one's belief, morals, values, and so on. It has the power to lower self-esteem, to bring out insecurities. Think about it, so many cosmetic products that exist. For example, I will speak on my own features because I don't want to speak on anyone else's. I have very deep eye bags, and growing up, I never viewed this as an issue. I actually thought they were quite pretty. And then I learned in societal expectations and standards, eye bags are considered ugly. And this is something I can fix with concealer. And it's in my hands to decide, do I want to use this concealer or do I want to let myself be natural? Do I want to use something else? What do I do about this? And how do I actually feel about this flaw that I have? For some people, this may be a huge insecurity, and self-care can be a way to let themselves empower themselves. When you practice self-care, you form a better bond with yourself, a more positive one that leaves you feeling good. And when you do this with aesthetics, it's so powerful and transformative because fashion is an art and it can almost serve as a form of art therapy. Neuroaesthetics, a branch of experimental science, integrates psychological research of aesthetics to explore the perception, creation, and reaction to art, as well as interactions with objects and/or scenes that elicit profound sensations, often associated with pleasure. Beauty is pleasure. The act of engaging with fashion, beyond mere adornment, has discernible influence on one's cognitive and emotional state. This is very similar to other forms of artistic expression, such as movies, music, paintings, fashion, and so on. They have the capacity to evoke emotions of hope, comfort, and security. It's why we are drawn to certain aesthetics. I previously covered this topic more in depth in a video all on the semiotics of fashion and the actual processes that happen in the brain and how we take action on this. The influence of practicing self-care aesthetically extends beyond the physical state, because fashion is not only seen but felt, including the mental and emotional dimensions as well. Clothing has the potential to serve as a source of inspiration, functioning as a form of visual therapy that contributes to the establishment of purpose, individuality, and attention. For example, outside of self-care, we think of a businessman, we can picture someone in a suit. We think of a doctor, we think of scrubs. We can do the same exact thing with our own clothing. And it's completely natural and normal as a person to evolve, to experiment with your style and try out new things, to look into your closet and be like, oh, this is not so me anymore. I do not wish to wear this. But someone who has this shopaholic tendency, a tendency to engage in retail therapy, always values novelty. It does not matter how much they have. They will always be on the hunt for the next big thing. Although there has been a recent uptick in consumer culture, it's crucial to remember that shopping addiction has been here for a long time. This phenomenon has first been identified in the early 19th century, and by the early 20th century, it has been designated as a psychiatric disorder by the name of onomania, which in origin onios means sell and mania means madness in Greek. According to research published in 2014 in the Journal of Consumer Psychology, the act of engaging in retail therapy has been shown to provide immediate and long-term psychological benefits. Engaging in the act of shopping may instill within individuals a feeling of empowerment and autonomy, as it affords them the opportunity to exercise their agency through choosing and buying various goods or services, therefore producing tangible outcomes that mirrors a coveted self-concept. The concept, promise, or beliefs around the items evoke a sensation of gratification. But when the buyer is not purchasing from a place of substance, the sale becomes an empty promise, leading to further negative emotions and the need to once again shop again. The purchase creates euphoria, akin to the thrill a high-stakes gambler experiences when placing a daring wager. Dr. B explains in her study how dopamine is released prior to even actually buying the item, stating, quotes, "Some think the dopamine is released when you actually get a reward or purchasing an item, but it begins before you make a purchase, as you're delighting in all the possibilities," he says. It's about the journey. So why do people become hooked on shopping to the point of addiction? There are so many factors that come into play with this, and of course, every experience is individual. However, there are some prevalent shared experiences that may be seen across the board, such as diminished self-esteem, status, desires, a need to regain control, perfectionism, escapism, and a tendency for pathological hoarding. These are traits people hold that make them more susceptible to this. It creates a heightened experience. These traits are being kind, sympathetic, and polite to others. These people who have these traits tend to be a bit more isolated and feel lonely, even in a group of people, because they tend to be very accommodating and put others before themselves. And as we know, fashion is a means of visual communication. communication. So when you are wearing something, you are not just expressing yourself, you are saying something about who you are and where you belong in the world. Fashion can be a visual alignment, and when you buy into an aesthetic, you're essentially purchasing a spot. Engaging in these shopping activities provides individuals the avenue to actively pursue social interactions. But frequently, the act of making a purchase not serves just as a means of placing a mental band-aid on a wound, but also symbolic significance in relation to an individual's desired image. Perhaps this is to be prettier, more successful, athletic, or popular. In I Shop, Therefore I Am, Benson details studies that conclude obsessive shoppers have an innate psychological need to constantly add new items to their collections. For these customers, the focus is not on the amount of money used, but rather the emotional experience derived from their purchases. Now let's do an example. This girl named Sasha, she is 23. She is going to grad school and lives with her roommates. She is someone who gets a bit anxious around exams. She has a tendency to catastrophize even though everything is going well, and often feels very overwhelmed by her schedule. Even though it's very attainable for her and she's able to manage it, she really enjoys unwinding by going on social media and spending time with friends. One day she is out at a cafe doing some homework with her friend, and she orders this matcha latte. And now this is where the unhealthy fine line begins to appear. As extreme as this sounds, this matcha latte becomes so symbolic. It triggers something in her mind. It reminds her of that girl, the Pilates princess aesthetic, and she gets to talking with her friend about how she wants to be healthier and more put together, how she sees these girls that always look so nice with their hair done, their makeup done, they look fit, they make good grades, and that's exactly how she wants to be. Her and her friend decide, yes, let's go on this health journey together. We already studied together. This will be really great. We can hold each other accountable. And she goes home and decides to go on a little shopping spree. She begins adding the bodysuits, the cute little shrugs, developing a whole new skincare routine, the Yeti cup, the plush pullover, the legging, journal, leg warmers, silk pajama sets, skincare headbands, adding the self-care books to her cart, watching these Vogue beauty secret videos, waking up earlier and meditating. All great things, and personally I think it's quite lovely to see trends and aesthetics that promote wellness and taking care of yourself. But as I said before, there is this fine line to walk about what is healthy for you and what is healthy for other people. Let's take this Pilates princess, that girl aesthetic, and analyze it a bit. Conceptually, it's very positive. Someone athletic, dedicated, disciplined, smart, and pretty. She engages in self-care activities regularly. She reads, she attends Pilates classes, and eats well, which are all positive actions to engage in. But looking the part doesn't necessarily bring this to reality. In fact, someone who does not have this look at all could have this be their entire reality. It's simply their lifestyle. And this is where it starts to get a bit complicated, because you can look any sort of way and do any sort of thing, but when you begin to aestheticize it and put constraints around how you look, what you have, what you do, you begin to take part a bit in a fantasy and almost disconnect from your reality. You'll begin to be hindered by limitations imposed by the aesthetics when it is applied this way, because it imposes constraints on these characteristics and presents them in a more favorable light than their true nature. Think about how photos are retouched in an ad. Maybe through monetary value, beauty standards, and so on, you take part in this. Get back to our example with Sasha and finish up with it. As she experiences the burst of excitement and then it passes. She's then filled with dread, thinking, oh, why did I order so many of these? I don't even use this, why do I have that? Maybe she returns it, or maybe she just lets it sit and pile up in her closet. She finds herself not actually using these items, and she just wants to wear a hoodie and jeans to class because that is what's most comfortable for her. Until the next new trend rolls around, and suddenly she is so captivated by it because it's new, it's that novelty that the shopaholic tendency needs to feed off of to thrive. And it creates that endless cycle, which combined with the trend cycle can be very dangerous for someone emotionally, physically, and financially. Now, this isn't to say at all, do not enjoy trends or take part in aesthetics, that you can't refresh your wardrobe. This is not the issue at all. It's that when you have this shopaholic retail therapy practice, what you are buying are these promises. This will make me feel happy. This will make me look good. And when you buy something with this image in mind, and when you put it on doesn't align with that image, that's when that empty feeling comes flooding in, those negative emotions, and that cycle turns endlessly. We see this so much a lot in makeover practices, where you do this entire makeover and in the end you're not as happy because it doesn't create the image you were coveting, because it's a promise. You need to make this promise to yourself and live in a way if that's how you want to be. If you want to be healthier, to take those actions to be healthier. If you want to have better hair, to care for your hair better, not to just buy a product and put all this pressure on a concept that isn't really formed in reality. Consumer culture builds on what it sees as our deemed quote-unquote flaws by propagating the notion that individuals may attain a greater sense of self-sufficiency by the means of things, as opposed to a healthy relationship when buying, when goods are bought to fulfill a need without feeling compelled to do so. There is no monetary stress, with the occasional splurge here and there. Typically, on a psychological level, when the buyer behavior follows 5 steps, which involves recognizing a problem, doing research, weighing the pros and cons of different options, making a choice to buy, and reviewing the purchase afterward, you are engaging in healthy buying habits. And this doesn't mean if you don't follow all 5 steps, you are being unhealthy. This is just a framework for a healthy purchase process in terms of psychology. The experience of a shopaholic that can be broken down into 4 stages that cycle. The first stage is expectation. And this begins when the desire arises, such as when the shopper sees an advertisement or someone using the product on social media. The second is preparation, which occurs when the shopper makes decisions about where to go and what to get. The third is the actual shopping experience, which occurs when the shopper feels brief comfort and a sense of fulfillment while in the store, in person, or online. And the fourth, spending, which occurs when the shopper experiences the buying behavior, which then in turn leads to dissatisfaction of the purchase, and the cycle begins again. Telltale symptoms of a shopaholic include constantly being preoccupied with new products, trends, and future purchases, regularly buying things as a treat or to lift their spirits, experiencing a surge of happiness after making a purchase, possessing feelings of remorse or sorrow about purchases. The shopper has started to conceal their purchases from friends, family, or acquaintances. An unhealthy fixation on shopping, such as living vicariously through shopping networks. One of the most challenging aspects of anomania is that treatment for this is very similar to eating disorders. You can't cut out the action entirely. You need to purchase gas to go to school or work. You need to shop for groceries so you can eat throughout the week. You need to, well, you don't need to, but you may have a streaming service for entertainment. So treatment options include behavioral therapy, psychotherapy, self-help books, support groups, and financial counseling. I understand that not everyone can afford or has the time for treatment, but Dr. B discusses how if you are developing a compulsive shopping behavior or engaging in retail therapy, you can try to channel this excitement into new behaviors, and you will still experience a new type of happiness through those positive results, such as maybe learning a new language, and then when you have conversation, you feel a new sense of fulfillment, or learning an instrument, and when you can complete a song, you again have this surge of happiness and you wish to play it over and over again. It's a bit like transforming your baggage into a toolbox for you to carry. Obviously, this is a YouTube video. It's not meant to take the place of actual treatment. If you are having this sort of experiences or emotions, definitely seek out the help of a professional and confide in someone you trust. What I do is styling and image consulting. So say I do have a client struggling with this, and every single time they go shopping, it's like this wave crashes over them. What we're going to do is develop styling techniques, coping mechanisms, and wardrobe curating processes so that it builds this dam and they can choose to look out over that water in the safety of professional care. Now, these are my suggestions if you find yourself aestheticizing your self-care in terms of your looks. But if you are someone who is just buying into aesthetics and find yourself very frustrated, my definite recommendation is wardrobe curation. This is a great way to have only a collection of clothes, beauty products or lifestyle items that truly align with who you are, your goals, and coveted look. A great way to approach this is do it prior to the season, so when it's fall or winter, you curate for spring and summer, and vice versa. Instead of engaging in retail therapy behaviors, I recommend bookmarking items, using maybe a site such as Pinterest to see everything together and allow time to pass. You will get the same thrill as window shopping and can even throw in some inspo photos. You can pin multiple colors or alternative products to select the best fit over time. When you're bookmarking or pinning on Pinterest, really examine why you want this, because it's completely normal to have a desire to like something, but when you have this need for it, you want to look within and question, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling this way? What is so important about this? What is it representing to me? What do I actually want? What is going to bring me more fulfillment? To follow up with our hypothetical of Sasha applying these sorts of techniques, say she gets a journal in the name of That Girl Pilates Princess aesthetic, and it's actually so beneficial for her because she is overwhelmed by her coursework. It's something that helps her regulate herself, and she does it in an aesthetic way that really elevates her mood. And maybe she ends up buying boots instead of ones with bows. She actually likes the ones without them. Through the course of time, that initial high of a new item, a new purchase, the possibilities and promise of a different tomorrow passes, because it is tomorrow, and you're left within your reality, your individuality, your beauty, your true interest, and what you really want. And those things can help you create that for yourself. It can help you get there, but it shouldn't be the means of how you do. Through this, you will have a style that's truly yours. It will meet your wants and your needs. You will not be fazed by aesthetics, rather the aesthetics will supplement your lifestyle. And in the end, you will truly be caring for yourself in a healthy way. You won't damage the relationship you have to your mind and body. Instead, you will truly be embracing it for a more healthy relationship to your self-image. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and comment. Thank you so much for watching.